All right, everyone, welcome back for another episode of Carnivore Trades. Today is Tuesday, April 5th, 2022. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe, like, comment, etc. Come find me on carnivoretrades.com for swing trading alerts and analysis. Anyways, markets pulling back a little bit here. S&P down over 1% now. Triple Q's down 2.5%. And that was really the catalyst there was Brainard making some comments earlier today about balance sheet reduction, some lip service going on from the Fed essentially. And Brainard is one of the more dovish Fed governors. And so that kind of, spooked the market a little bit. We had a rollover there. You can see we had a gap down, nice little bullish consolidation, and then a pop, and then just, really a sell right into that big sell bar there with pretty good volume. And then market kind of just dried up a little bit, and you see it's just tough for the market to really sustain a sell-off when there's just this thin liquidity. Although we are seeing a bit of a dip here into the final hour, but if you take a look at the daily chart here, there's no real institutional selling going on, and you can see that typically when you have a big, when you have a 1% down day on the spiders, you see good volume behind it typically, and we're at 53 million shares here on the spiders just after 3:30. It's 3:34 p.m. right now. So that is very light volume. Even if we do have a few big blocks go off in the final half hour, which is possible, it doesn't appear we're going to get anywhere close to 100 million or even to really the daily average volume, which is around 120 million. So ultimately, it's a nice, a nice sell-off day. VIX is finally taking out yesterday's highs. There you see the UVXY. VIX really hadn't taken out yesterday's highs up until the last 20 minutes. So again, doesn't really seem very fear-based. A lot of it looks like backing and filling to me, and they're just kind of using the headlines to get people to barf up their shares, essentially. Overall, at least that's my take on it, though. However, we did have a few clues this morning. You take a look at the Russell 2000. After that initial pop, it started to sell off even before the spiders did. Also, semiconductors started selling off immediately this morning, and that is a leading indicator, as are the Dow transports, which have been selling off sharply all day, pretty much from the open, and they're continuing lower now. We'll talk about those in a minute. But, again, a lot of this has to do with rates. So we can take a look at the 10-year here, interest rates popping higher. And again, that was, part of the catalyst there was obviously Brainerd's comments. It was moving higher a little bit this morning anyway. But overall, you're seeing tech down and, kind of consumer goods names get a bit here with the higher yield. Anyways, take a look at the triple Qs here. So getting outside of yesterday's candle, and, we got to watch this pivot here. So if this gets taken out, you probably go down to that 20 moving average. You're going to have a little bit of support right here, about 355. Then, you get the 20 and the 50 down there. Again, this market's overbought. We knew that was going to happen, and it's not really surprising to see it pull back here. Russell 2000, probably the ugliest. No, it is the ugliest out of all four major indices right now. Just a continued sell-off all day long. A little bit of a bear base there intraday, and now continuing lower. So we'll watch these pivots here. We'll see if they get taken out. We still got that 50 moving average and this green bar here at about 202. So that would be kind of your support zone for the Russell. We'll see if that can maybe catch up tomorrow and put in a pivot or something like that. Dow Diamond here, again, pulling back just like everything else. But again, you got this 50 and 20 converging right in this area, and this upper trend line, which you broke out from. So, a pullback to that area would not be out of the question. It would be actually pretty routine overall. But overall, a pretty good sell day here for the markets. Let's take a look at the semis. So, semis pulling back. You're into support here. This is kind of where you broke out of. It's also about a 50% fib retrace in this zone. And nothing to say it can't go down to that 618 area. So that would be at about 255, which is a little bit lower. So again, a little bit of continued downside tomorrow wouldn't be out of the question again. Market was overbought. We've been talking about that, and we were expecting some type of a pullback here, but with the light volume, I don't expect it to be anything too major. Cloud software, on the other hand, is actually having a decent day. Doesn't look good on the, this candle doesn't look particularly good, but a lot of these stocks are holding up okay. We talked about Unity yesterday, which we own. That's an inside day there. Snowflake, this is still a nice bullish pattern here on Snowflake. Adobe with a decent pattern there. Oracle holding up pretty well. Zoom also holding up really well today as well. Nice inside day there. So some of these cloud stocks are actually holding up all right. And, we talked about this well, really quite a while here. We've been talking about how cloud has been underperforming semis, but over the last week or so, cloud is actually outperforming semis a little bit. So we'll continue to watch that sort of relationship and see if anything more comes out of it. All right, Dow Transport. So these got hit really hard. We talked about that, breaking through this trend line here. So major dumping going on. Take a look at Fedex, down 3% there. Big sell off there. UPS, same kind of deal, 4%. So that's got some support down in these pivots here. Those should hold for now. So this should this is pretty much into a bounce zone around 195, 194. But a big sell off there. Take a look at JB Hunt. Basically erased a year of gains in about 4 or 5 sessions here. Just a major sell off there. As soon as you blew out that green bar, it was just off to the races to the downside. So trucking stocks getting hit. Rail still taking a hit today. CSX down way off the highs as well. Norfolk Southern reversing, and Union Pacific, Canadian Pacific as well, also reversing lower. One area of the transports that is not being hit is the jets. So, down 2% today, but nothing terrible here. It's actually trying to put in a higher low. Maybe it comes down and fills this gap, but this pattern, there's nothing really wrong with that, especially if we can come off the lows here in the final 20 minutes, or even tomorrow, if we can just retrace some of this would not be a terrible consolidation pattern for the jets. So go figure, the airlines, which have been weak for really more than the last year, are actually starting to show some strength as everything else starts to get weak here. But nothing terrible there on the jets, although transports overall taking a big hit today. All right, so financials, XLF rolling over just a little bit, XBD here as well. Nothing terrible here. XLF probably has to come down and fill this gap. But again, it's not the worst pullback pattern here for the financials. I don't, it's a bit of a sharp fade, but there's a good amount of support right here at 37.50 here on XLF. KBE, we'll have to watch this by the end of the week. If it can close back above this pivot, that would be a super positive there. Same thing with the KRE. There's the KRE. So pretty much the same chart there. We got to watch those double bottom pivots. And then obviously if you lose this one, that would be a big negative. But for now, it is kind of hanging on there. XHB is also holding on by a thread here. I'm not convinced this is quite ready to break down, but it is definitely a weak chart. And VNQ is actually holding up really well. So again, go figure. VNQ hanging in there pretty much all right. Nice little bullish consolidation so far. But again, it does have a wall up there around that 112 area. All right, so crude reversed as well, going up and tagging that 20 moving average, selling off down 2.73% currently. And nothing terrible. We're just watching this wedge pattern and seeing what happens there. Energy stocks, again, nothing too new to report. XLE did roll over pretty nicely though. XOP, same kind of deal, as well as the OIH. So we'll see if we get any follow through tomorrow on those. And that could be a good positive for the transports and for the market overall if crude does sell off. So obviously we'll have to keep an eye on that. Nat gas got up to this very close to this trend line here. Was really watching this one for a potential short. Didn't quite get up there. And again, this trend line's not perfectly drawn. I mean, it could be, there's a lot of areas in here where it's kind of nebulous and kind of tough to see where you should necessarily draw it. But in this area, pulling back off of that, not to say it can't get back up to 625 in the maybe tomorrow or something, and retest those highs. But nice pullback, technical pullback, basically off this trend line, kissing that. But nat gas, it is on breakout, but it got overbought really quickly, as do a lot of commodities. But you're into all these pivots up here and this trend line, which is being back tested. So it does look like nat gas needs to cool off, no pun intended. All right, dollar index. So trying to break out here again. It's making a higher high. I'm not convinced it's ready to break out yet, or if it does push a little bit higher, I'm not sure if it can really get much through 100, to be completely honest with you. It has not done enough backhand filling to get through this, barring some type of major event that someone knows about that I don't know about and none of us know about. There's too much resistance up here, at least in the near term. I don't expect this to last very much longer here on the dollar. Gold, so not really anything going on, continuing that kind of bearish kind of flag pattern there. But take a look at the GDX though, big reversal today. So flirting with this green bar low. It's still holding trend for now. It's holding that 20 moving average. It did get pretty overbought pretty quickly, but we'll have to keep this on watch. Silver also much weaker as well, and the SILJ a reversal bar today as well. So nothing terrible yet. It's not dead in the water, but the weekly pattern is still okay. But something we're going to keep an eye on. If we get follow through and we take out these pivots, this pattern would look much, much worse here. So something to keep an eye on there. Platinum also rolling over a bit. Still has that tail to take out. Palladium, kind of a quiet day, all things considered. And copper getting up to that 480 area. So that is, I told you guys that was resistance, and it just isn't ready to get through that yet, and it just keeps reversing off of that area. But again, the weekly time frame, nothing terrible there. It's just kind of consolidating sideways. So copper is holding up. As for coins here, so Bitcoin, kind of this is Ether here. Let's look at Bitcoin. So a little bit of a kind of, again, kind of a, move up and then you're bullish consolidating inside of this bar, essentially. You do have a smaller red bar that you're also inside of, so maybe in the near term it does pull back a little bit, but there would be pretty good support at about 44.5. Ultimately, Bitcoin's not really having that much of a down day. It's still inside of yesterday's candle. It's still well inside of Friday's lows. Same thing on Ether. So pulling back, but holding this upright type pattern here and just consolidating under that 200 moving average. So when I see that, and I see that the coins are leading indicators, and they have been, that tells me that perhaps this little sell-off here that we're having, let's flip over to the spiders again, is just, this little sell-off is more or less just kind of a pullback, profit taking, something like that, especially when you consider how light the volume is. In the time I've been doing this video, we've only gone 4 million shares here, so 56 million now in the last 15 minutes or so that I've been doing this video. So we're not seeing an uptick in volume. There's no major institutions dumping here, but it is a pullback and the market's got overbought. So, we'll continue to monitor it. If we get a high volume sell-off, then that, things can change. But overall, I don't see any, too many problems here. A pullback was warranted. It was probably needed. And, we'll continue to take it day by day. Anyways, guys, I'm going to wrap it up here. Come find me on carnivoretrades.com. Take care, and I'll talk to you all tomorrow.